All
What's
right,
going
right,
on, guys? Oh,
right. Sorry, go again.
Alright.
No power in the verse can stop me.
What's going on, guys? My name is Aldeniro, and welcome to episode 57 of the Midnight Hour. I'm joined today by Loosemore.
Hello.
And Tom Cruise.
Hello, I'm Tom Cruise.
He's method acting as Loosemore. Yeah, it's just myself and Loosemore today, and our topic is lifestyles of the rich and the famous, because it's probably the best Good Charlotte song. It's one of those.
It's the only one, isn't it?
It's from a great album. Like the Madden brothers stepped up and delivered. Joel's crooning vocals over Benji's sick guitar riff and the undeniable drum loop that, lots of vomit. But I had a Good Charlotte poster when I was younger.
Oh, wow.
Fucking hate myself. But yeah, like, it's kind of, I've been thinking a lot lately about how fucked up it is that celebrities exist and how dramatically different their life is to ours when they're not really that different, and it's really weird, and it's just been sort of going round and round in my head, like all of these crazy stories that celebrities do and crazy things that happen to celebrities and how entertaining it all is, but how when you take a step back, how kind of just fucked up it all is, that it all just happens and we just kind of shrug and go like, whatever. I think it was brought on by the recent, the Hulk Hogan thing. So like Gawker are a publication who, they leaked Hulk Hogan's sex tape. They made it public. They were ordered by a judge to take it down in 2013, and they outright refused. They said they absolutely will not. And they were sued by Hogan in a trial which ended the other day, and Hulk Hogan was awarded $115 million, which Gawker have to pay him. And it's pretty fucked up, but like, in a way, I'm quite happy for Hulk Hogan, as much as as weird as that is for me, because he seems like
because Hulkamania can run wild once again.
Yeah, that's right. Like, he is definitely a despicable human being. We know this because he is a racist, and he straight up admitted to being a racist. But I think that there's a huge level of hypocrisy by Gawker to like outright, vilify everybody involved in the Jennifer Lawrence hacking, which I agree with. Like, that was an absolutely despicable thing that happened to her. But then at the same time laugh at when it happens to Hulk Hogan. I just don't see how that adds up in their heads, and I don't see how that's fair. And for that reason, I'm happy for Hulk Hogan, and I'm happy that the standard is the same for both genders, because I don't see why it wouldn't be. Like, I just don't really see a world. I know there's lots of guys who are like, oh, give me 100 million and I'll do, yeah, but like, shut your face. That's not how the world works. So yeah, Hulk Hogan. Did you know that he attended trial every day wearing black, as you would when you're going to trial, but he wore a black bandana?
Yeah, well, of course. I'm just surprised it wasn't his like NWO attire. You know what I mean?
I'm amazed that he consciously got up that morning and was like, oh, gotta go to trial, brother. I need to dress smartly, brother. And like
I imagine he left the house without the bandana, and as he got on the drive and got in his car, like his wife or his son or somebody was like, dead.
He has a drawer full of bandanas, and you just know that they're all different styles and they're all for different occasions and stuff.
Yeah.
That
you forgot your bandana for like for today. Like, he has Monday's bandana, then he has Tuesday's bandana, but then within those days of bandanas, he must have different styles, surely.
It's like, I know it's an odd thing to say based on the fact that he wears a bandana, but like, he is so far out of touch with reality that it's actually dangerous. Like, this is a guy who he says things about himself that it's like, it's as if he saw like you remember when the Chuck Norris quotes were huge, like the Chuck Norris facts, I mean, like, Chuck Norris, blah, 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 blah. That's not a good example. Can you even remember one? Chuck Norris doesn't sleep. He waits. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like Hulk Hogan saw those and was like, yeah, that's a fact. And also, that applies to me.
But don't you think he's forgotten, like, he's not Hulk Hogan. That was a character that he became. Do you know what I mean? He's almost become the character of Hulk Hogan. Like, he's not
Yeah, that,
whatever
like,
he used to be. Like Terry Bolio, or whatever his name is.
Ebola.
Terry Ebola. But yeah, like, he's become the character. Like, he's not the other guy anymore.
Yeah, it's actually like one of the main themes I think of this episode will be how out of touch celebrities are because of the platform that they're put on, or because of the pedestal that they're put on. And I think like that's never been more true. Like of Hulk Hogan, like he was built up as the big guy in the company. He had the WWF championship for a long time, and he was a global phenomenon, and he helped to make the sport popular. Like, he sort of was wrestling for a good 12 years maybe in there. Like,
Yeah.
well, I don't think he was wrestling for the entire 12 years, but he was a fucking superstar globally. And he had this whole thing, like, he was saving America, he was helping the children, he was a working class hero and all this stuff. Like, that was his character. And he has decided that that's what he is. I think if you tell yourself that you are something for like a certain amount of time, it just becomes true in your head. Like, this is a man who said that he once had the chance to join Metallica. And he said that Lars Ulrich asked Hulk Hogan in the early days to join Metallica. Like, and Hulk
Yeah,
Hogan...
but that's like, you're at a party, Metallica are there, you're joking, you're having a good time. They're like, oh look, there's Hogan over there. Like, you know, you should join Metallica. So they go up to Hogan and say, hey Hulk, want to join Metallica? And then they go off back and they start giggling because it's hilarious. No one would want Hulk Hogan to join Metallica, but then Hulk Hogan, because he's Hulk Hogan, thinks, yes, I could be in Metallica.
I don't like talking about wrestling on the podcast because I know not everyone likes it, right? But back in the day, there was WWF and then there was WCW, and WCW started gaining like huge momentum, and they were signing guys left, right, and center from WWF, and they took some of their greatest superstars and stuff. But one of the things WCW did better than WWF at the time was build up their own guys like Goldberg and Sting, and they had this incredible pool of technical wrestlers that was way better than the WWF at the time. But you'd have these matches like, say, like Dean Malenko against Chris Benoit, who are two just amazing technical wrestlers putting on this amazing show. And Hulk Hogan had this thing in his contract where he basically decided everything. He had full control over his own storylines and his own TV time. So he was basically the thing that the show was built around because he still had that pulling power at the time. But because of that, in WCW, you would have like Benoit against Malenko, and they would cut from the match and go backstage to see like Hulk Hogan taking a shit or something like, and it just ruined the actual show like so bad. It's so annoying, and like he also said some ludicrous things in the last while. Like, he's sort of coming out with quotes now where it's almost like he is absolutely trying to Chuck Norris himself a legacy. Like, he's trying to make a Chuck Norris type legacy. Like, for example, he said that he once worked 400 days in 1 year. Like,
yeah, I mean, that's...
He said that he slept with triplets and they were all different colours. I mean, this... Like, he claims to have had a foursome with three sisters who were all different ethnicities. You can't really deal with a guy who is that far out of touch with reality. And, like, this is all sincere. Like, this is him, yeah, brother, oh, yeah, brother.
What you gonna do, brother?
Yeah. Like, he's also said that he fought George Foreman in a boxing match.
Mm-hmm.
And most recently claimed that he was asked in the early days of the promotion to join the UFC. Like...
Well, he would get them with his 24-inch pythons, obviously.
Yeah, that's... Can you imagine, Hulk? Can you imagine, like, a superstar less suited for UFC? Like, with his glamour muscles and his inability to actually move around. Like, he must be the least fluid fighter in WWF history. Like, his moveset consisted of the big boot, the punch, and the leg drop. And, like, the scoop slam or whatever, and that was pretty much it.
Oh, but you're forgetting, like, when he does the punch, and then he points. Like, the point was a move in itself, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like the John Cena thing where one of his moves is waving his hand in front of his face and
Yeah.
declaring "You can't see me," which
Yeah.
is presumably because his hand is in front of his face, or I don't know how that's supposed to work.
Yeah.
But
I mean, he waves it quite vigorously though, so I mean, you could theoretically still see a great portion of his face through the fingers that are going. So I really don't get it. I mean, that's by the by. I mean,
the like another example of Hulk Hogan being so far out of touch, I think, was recently. What was it, like a year ago, or maybe a little bit less than a year ago, where I think it was TMZ were like, "Oh yeah, Hulk Hogan's a massive racist, and we've got the footage to prove it." And the footage has never actually been made public, but it's alleged that he said some really obscene things. So I'm presuming that he said, like, you know, the absolute obscene, the worst racist thing that you can say. He probably said something like that. And like when asked about it, he was like, "Yeah, I mean, like, I I guess I'm a racist," and it's just like that's just so like he's definitely just a 60-year-old dad. Like that's such a fucking like yeah. Like I don't see why that's wrong. You know, I just happen to have racist
Yeah.
opinions. You know, it's not like.
The thing is, he probably started it with, "Well, they come over here and they're stealing my jobs," and and it's like, okay, yeah, you're a racist. I mean,
And then like one of the greatest things ever was like people tweeting him like someone tweeted him a picture of Drake and Rio Ferdinand and said, "Me and my dad know that you're not a racist," and he retweeted it and stuff like that. Like he just has no fucking idea.
yeah. I mean, the problem is, like, I mean, you would expect someone of that notoriety to know who Drake is, but I guess maybe because, like, he is a 65-year-old man or however old he is, so maybe he just doesn't. He is lost. Not only is he a celebrity and he's lost touch with reality, but he's like a 65-year-old father who doesn't like. He probably doesn't even know how to use a phone, let alone
Yeah, there's
retweet
something
things.
really like he kind of in some ways reminds me of Ozzy Osbourne, and I think it's in the way that him and Ozzy both had reality TV shows about their families and stuff, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
And they both sort of like made a big thing about how out of touch with reality they both were. And what I find interesting about both of them is that I'm fairly sure that they don't have like publicists like looking after them.
No.
Because they have this sort of freedom to say obscene things, but I think they're both like positioned in this sort of subset of superstardom where it's so carnivalesque that no one in the mainstream is going to get particularly riled up about it, but everybody in their little subgenre of superstardom is going to like Ozzy Osbourne is very sort of far removed from like central mainstream stuff. Like he's not a huge mainstream singer. He's, you know, specifically known as like metal or rock.
Yeah.
And I think Hulk Hogan in wrestling, like sure he's done movies or whatever, but they're all garbage. Like wrestling is such a carnival fucking
Thing, yeah.
It's such a
like he like the late 80s, early 90s. He was like the Rock is now. Like everyone pretty much knows who the Rock is now, but it's not because of wrestling anymore. It's because he's the guy in the movies. Like it's the same with Hulk now. Like no one back then they probably knew him because he was Hulk Hogan. He was the guy in some movies, and he also wrestled a bit. But then now he's just Hulk Hogan, the guy who used to be a wrestler, and now.
It's now it's like Hulk Hogan, like the gimmick that won't die.
Kind of. Yeah, exactly.
Whereas like John Cena has definitely penetrated the mainstream in some capacity, but it's not really because he's a wrestler. It's because he's a really really nice guy, and like because he's so hated by a lot of wrestling fans that there's this meme that John Cena wins, lol, and like it's not really that he's captivated the hearts and minds of so many people. Because I think wrestling has like looped around to some kind of reality TV thing itself. But like John Cena is definitely perfectly in touch with reality and stuff, and John Cena definitely has the right people around him saying the right things to him.
Is that because he's John Cena? Like because literally he's John Cena. Like that's literally who he is.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
That's although I'd like to hope that he's not like he doesn't go around like battle rapping people on the street.
No,
and stuff like that. But I actually saw a great tweet once from some rapper. I don't even remember who it was, and he was saying how like wrestling is shit, and someone replied with, "John Cena outsold you." John Cena's rap album sold over 1.4 million.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's mental.
It's probably the biggest rap album of the last 10 years, or whatever, isn't it?
It's pretty big.
Yeah.
It's not like Drake level, but
No.
should we talk about Donald Trump? Because he is in the Wrestling Hall of Fame.
Well, and he's a celebrity. He's not a politician. He has no political background, which is
Yeah, he's definitely like getting a little bit terrifyingly close to politician status, though.
yeah.
Have you recently his transcript with the meeting he had with the Washington Post was published? I don't know if you happened to see it. I think it was literally like today that it was published.
No, I haven't seen it today. No.
We're talking on when is today Tuesday?
Tuesday, the 22nd of March, 2016. For those who will listen to the podcast years from now.
This is how we did it back in 2016.
Yeah.
You guys should all be listening to this on Good Friday, but like they're all Good Fridays to me.
Yeah.
I don't discriminate. But so
or Bad Fridays.
no, there's a Black Friday. But that's only bad because lots of people crowd supermarkets and shopping centers.
Yeah.
What do you make of Donald Trump, Loosemore?
As a human being or an entrepreneur?
Both.
I think he's pretty good at being the latter because he's made quite a lot of money.
Well, he did have a modest loan of $1 million.
Yeah.
Which no, a small loan, didn't he? He said that his father gave him a small loan of $1 million, which right away, boom, out of touch with reality.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, in like contrast to the money that his father had, it's a small loan for him.
Yeah.
It's going from nothing to $1 million isn't small, I guess. But I mean, as a human being, yeah, he's really just a Lex Luthor of real life, isn't he?
He's dreadful.
Yeah.
He's like a wrestling heel. Like he actually
the fact that he is in the WWE Hall of Fame just is perfect, really, because he's in there because I really don't know why, but I know each year they induct a celebrity, don't they?
Well, yeah, they have a tendency to do that.
Yeah, and then of course, but he is the biggest. But like you, obviously in wrestling you have the face and you have the heel, but he like is the world's biggest heel, isn't he? Like he
in wrestling and pantomime shows and things of that nature. There is a designated character that says blatantly obscene things to draw boos from the crowd.
Yeah, like, so it's basically so the crowd or whoever's watching it, if it's a TV show or whatever, you know who the bad guy is.
Yeah, it's like in The Walking Dead, like the bad guy is the guy that wants to kill all the good guys for seemingly no reason other than the fact that they're good. And they don't know that they're the bad guy, but their whole thing is, look at me, this is how I think, and it's the opposite to what you think.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump does that like no other person I have ever seen. Like, he just says all of the wrong things all of the time. And even though he draws an outrageous backlash, he attracts ridiculous amounts of fans. And I don't know how. I read this thing recently about how at a Trump rally you have like Mexicans standing next to KKK members and stuff, but the one thing they all have in common is that they want to piss someone off, like they want to get revenge on someone. And I guess Donald Trump is sort of this ultimate anti-establishment figure, but it's not even like it's not anti-establishment in the sense that you would imagine. Like I think Bernie Sanders is anti-establishment. Donald Trump is more like something that you would find in like a third world country where he's like, look at me, I'm strong, I'm gonna lead from the front, like I'm a strong guy, you need to vote for me, we need to be great again. Like they're laughing at us in other countries and we need to stop that, we need to be tough on crime, we need to clamp down on this, we need to allow more guns. If I was in any situation and some guy came up to me and started shooting innocent people around me, I would definitely take out my gun and I would kill him and stuff. And like these are all things that he said. Like
Well,
his
there's the whole thing where he's like that somebody threw something at him, didn't he? And he condoned like like beating the guy up or whatever. And if he was like saying, if that guy does it again, like go kick his ass or something like that. And you just think, well,
or
okay.
something like, but where I come from, that guy wouldn't live to like and stuff like that, and the whole
Yeah.
It's really like.
Well, I don't know where I come from. It's such a weird thing. Like you didn't, like you're not from the Bronx. Like you didn't suddenly rise up.
It's that whole
from
thing,
nothing.
though, isn't it? Of conservatism, where it's just like, and I don't mean like I know a lot of conservatives are good. Like I mean like you have this whole notion that things were simpler and better before, in the before time, like before multiculturalization and like before everyone started coming in and places started to lose their identity and stuff like that. Like where I come from, it's an eye for an eye. Like you knew your place back when I was younger. If someone stole something, then they got their hand cut off or whatever. Like that's the kind of thing that he seems to advocate.
If you stole something, you'd get hanged in the square.
Yeah.
Like, that's not happened for 150 years. You're a 60-year-old man.
But that's what's wrong with this society. We need to toughen people up and stuff like that. Like that's what he says all the time. He seems completely oblivious to the fact that there is an underclass that are being oppressed and stuff like that. Like he doesn't know any of that because he's privileged. I did read a story about him once that apparently when he was in his early 20s, he was being brought to like his dad made his money in property, didn't he? Just like Donald did. And his dad would take Donald to all of his like meetings with people who were building his properties and people he was buying his properties from and things like that. And every now and then he'd let Donald make a call, like, what would you do in this situation? And every time Donald Trump did something wrong, his dad would completely just belittle him for it and like laugh and like say to all his colleagues, like, Donald thinks that we should do this, and then they'd all start laughing. And like that really humanizes Donald Trump to me. Like it's just his whole thing about wanting to appear as though he's strong and he wants to extract revenge.
But then didn't Donald Trump then kill his dad in front of his mother?
That's correct.
And then become the kingpin, isn't that?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's exactly what happened.
Before the Devil of Hell's Kitchen. Yeah. But it's like, it's just the whole thing is that he's really just an insecure, like sad little scrotum-faced boy. And that's just...
with a weird toupee thing.
Yeah. You know, I'm going to do a Donald Trump's top 5 tweets one day. Have you seen his Twitter? Like, one of his tweets is, Obama is without question the worst ever president. I predict he will now do something really bad and totally stupid to show manhood. It's like, what does that even mean? That's like the vaguest thing.
Yeah.
And then like Obama will do something, like he'll be delivering a speech and he'll mess up a word and Donald Trump will be like,
see?
Yep. He advocated like the banning of all flights from Africa during the Ebola outbreak. Like there was one American affected with Ebola. One American. And it was someone who was bravely overseas treating people during the outbreak. And like the outbreak of Ebola was in 4 countries in the entire fucking continent of Africa, and Donald Trump was like, yeah, ban all the flights from this entire continent.
But he's like the king of like outrage, isn't he?
Oh,
like,
it's unbelievable. Yeah.
But then there's so many people who will asphyxiate with that style. That just the fact that like if like something happens with like terror, like today with the Brussels thing. I'm sure he'll be up for like banning any Belgians coming into the country or whatever.
Oh,
but there'll be people who will just be like, yeah, ban all the Belgians. And you just think, well...
No, he straight away, when the news was breaking, tweeted, I've been more right about terrorism than anybody else. I know what I'm talking about. And he, I believe, has since advocated the closing of the borders and stuff like that. In fact, another person who's massively out of touch with reality is that Katie Hopkins woman. Like to move away from old white guys. This girl, she tweeted, anyone who said welcome refugees and let them in, you are responsible for the Brussels attacks. That's what she said. She like this. Like, don't you just read that and think that absolutely has to be an act, a gimmick, a troll?
Yeah.
That cannot be someone's opinion, like, but it is.
But she knows that she makes money off that. That's how she makes money. Don't you think that? So whether she believes that or not, that's how she ultimately makes money, because people will book her for interviews afterwards. They'll book her for columns. She'll make money from that.
But don't
whether
you
she
think
genuinely believes that or not, she probably does, because she seems like a sociopath.
Don't you
But
think it will loop back around to the Hogan playing his gimmick and becoming his gimmick thing, where people like that's how they make money. So, like, you have to believe it at some point.
yeah. Well, it's like the George Costanza on Seinfeld like said something along the lines of, "If you believe it enough, it will become true," or something like that. Like essentially, that's essentially, yeah. Like all of these people, well, like we'll discuss today, kind of have that in there. Like
Yeah,
if
it
you
happens
believe
to-
hard enough in what you're saying or what you think people want to hear, that becomes ultimately what you then think, and
Yeah.
not the truth.
And if you're struggling with that concept, think about the fact that people are booking you, people are calling you all the time to say, like, we want to do this interview with you, and all of these people are asking you to be interviewed in response to the one thing that you did, right?
Yeah.
So you have to come up with new ways of not rationalizing, but explaining that without it being a monotonous drum that you're banging, so that you don't seem like a one-trick pony. So in your mind, you're constantly trying to come up with ways to explain what you're saying and sound convincing at the same time, and you just convince yourself. Like, you are turning your brain into something that's rationalizing exactly what you're trying to say, and that's what creates that. That's how that happens. And I think Katie Hopkins is probably that. I don't think Donald Trump is that. I think he is just actually just an out-of-control, crazy guy who has had way too much money for way too long, that there's no saving him.
He genuinely believes he can do anything, because he's had so much money for so long, and ultimately no one tells him no.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He's never had in his life, obviously his early years, I imagine he was told no, but even then it was no, you can't do it. It was a case of no, that's
stupid.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's stupid. Not no, no, don't do that, or no, you can't. No, not it's no, that's stupid. No, you can't do that.
Or here's why what you're doing is wrong.
Yeah. So therefore, now in his later years, he's just done whatever the fuck he likes, and he can do whatever the fuck he likes because he has money.
And then, to flip it round and talk about the only person that I ever want to talk about, Kanye. There are celebrities, and this is a mindset that I think I'm going to do an entire episode about someday. There's a mindset amongst certain people who have just obscene amounts of talent. I think Conor McGregor, Kanye, the likes of, say, Cristiano Ronaldo come to mind, where they say that they are the best, and therefore they are the best. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Apart from Ronaldo, who is not the best. I just threw that in there because people will get mad. But, like, if you convince yourself of that, and you have any amount of talent that, like, supersedes just the average level at whatever level that they're at, like, you will become it. Like, and Conor McGregor says that all the time about following your dreams and how, like, you just don't give up. And as long as you're, like, he really respects that in other people as well. Like, I've seen him say it in interviews and stuff. I find him, like, really, really fascinating. There's something about him that, like, I kind of feel conflicted as to whether or not I should like Conor McGregor, because he's so sort of rough and brutal at times. But then other times he's so articulate and, like, genuine that I don't. He's like a combination of Liam and Noel Gallagher into one person. I don't know.
I think that whole Muhammad Ali thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, convince, he obviously had enough talent to back up what he was saying, and that's crucial, I think. Otherwise, everyone would just think it weird. But the likes of Kanye and Conor McGregor, everyone latches onto them in a sort of like, because they are so talented, and then they're giving off this uber amount of confidence.
Yeah. What I love about Kanye is the way he will just behave like an absolute spoiled child, and that's what makes the headlines. Like, we're going to listen to this interview, right?
I am the #1 most impactful artist of our generation. I am Shakespeare in the flesh. Walt Disney, Nike, Google. Now, who's going to be the Medici family and stand up and let me create more? Or do you want to marginalize me till I'm out of my moment?
Or why don't you empower yourself and don't need them and do it yourself?
How, Sway?
Take a few steps back to go.
You ain't got the answers, man. You ain't got the answers. You ain't got the answers. You ain't got the answers, Sway.
Kanye.
I've been doing this more than you.
That is, like, he's not even looking at Sway.
No.
when he's talking. Like, he's jumping out of his seat like a fucking little kid who is just, like, kicking and screaming and absolutely not going to listen to anything that guy has to say. Like, he's completely in some kind of zone there. Like, there's no talking to him. He's just fucking convinced that he's right in everything that he's saying. And, like, I know that the cynics will say, oh, he knows exactly what he's doing. He's doing it for publicity and stuff. Like, he hasn't a fucking notion. He's just saying exactly what he thinks is the truth right there. Like, that's a stream of consciousness that I don't even think he's in control of himself when he starts talking like that.
I think there is a certain, like, the Katie Hopkins thing. Like, there are certain celebrities, they know they'll say certain things that will sell certain things. That's how they make their money. That's just a fact.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah, with Kanye, sometimes it borders onto, like, he probably believes what he's saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He definitely does. Like, he thinks that he's unbelievable. And, like, when he says it in that context, right, he is the most hateable person on the planet. Like, how could you not hate how could you not hate everything about what he's
How could
doing?
you not hate the guy who thinks he's as good as Nike and Google?
Yeah, I mean, come on. Just do it.
Yeah.
No contest.
Yeah.
But then listen to this one.
All we want is a real shot. Not, okay, I'm a celebrity, so that means my line has to cost $10 a t-shirt. No, I understand about quality. I understand about fabrics. I spent 10,000 hours at this. I dedicated my life to this. Then a lot of people say, okay, well, you know, you have to do music. I'm going to keep doing music, but what if people told me I couldn't rap? What would have happened? What if people told me I couldn't perform? You know, I'm only 36 years old. I have other goals and other things, and I'm going to use my platform, every platform, to stand up and say, I want to make something. I want to make the next Ralph Lauren. And that was the point of the Zayn interview. They say people don't stand up and protect their dreams. People are too scared of getting, spoofed in a way. And the irony of it is so many people that are creatives. Think about a creative person in school. When you picture them, you probably picture them all the way in the back of the class, sketching or maybe getting beat up. And I'm the one creative. And this is the reason why I went on stage. This is the reason why I did this. Because creatives have got beat up my entire life. And there's moments where I stood up to drug dealers in Chicago and said, you can't have my publishing, come and kill me. Do whatever you're going to do, but you're not going to bully me. You're not going to stop me, because my mother made me believe in myself. No matter how many people tell me, stop believing in yourself. Stop saying what you can do. Stop affirming what you're going to do and then completing that in real life. That's the improper way to do it. I refuse to follow those rules that society has set up in the way that they control people with low self-esteem, with improper information, with branding, with marketing. I refuse to follow those rules. It's about truth. It's about information. It's about awesomeness. And the only luxury is time, the time you spend with your family. That's the only luxury. So this concept of luxury is improper to me.
How fucking great is that?
It's amazing, yeah.
How can you dislike that?
I know, yeah. No, he is that guy as well, though, isn't he? He's the sort of, like, he could be a motivational guy. He could stand in, he wouldn't need to be a celebrity. He could just be at, like, AA meetings and, like, motivating alcoholics or, like...
I think,
I mean? He could pretty much do anything he wants to do because he believes in himself so much, I think.
He's one of the most interesting people in the world to me because, like, that interview that he did there that we just listened to was in response to him going absolutely ballistic, and they were like, all right, well, come and explain yourself then. And then he comes in this really really passionate, really articulate, controlled speech on what he believes in and stuff. And I don't think there's an artist that has said more about self-confidence and self-belief than Kanye. Like, you just don't really pick it up when you just skim the surface, because you see an arrogant, entitled, spoiled guy, which he is all of those things, but he's also someone who absolutely believes in just self-belief and motivation and determination and stuff. But what I was hinting to earlier was that he's just quite clearly very far out of touch, that he thinks people are going to respond to him going ballistic and stuff. And then when he comes back and says, like, oh, people want to ignore me and people want to shut me out and marginalize me and stuff, it's like, it's because you carry yourself the way that you do. It's because you don't control yourself most of the time. You are actually a bit over the top sometimes.
Yeah.
You know? And yeah, I think I massively understated that. He's very fucking intense at times. And, like, people just don't respond to that. Like, people will pick and choose the one outrageous thing that he says and publicize it and be like, oh, this is all Kanye ever does and stuff. Like, people don't see the good stuff. And that's because he's so far out of touch with reality that he's completely harmed himself. Like, in that sense, you know?
Yeah.
He's just...
No, he's a fascinating person.
I think what I like about him is that he's just very, very, very honest about his, like, sort of mental position. Like, you know, like, he knows when he's being crazy and stuff.
Yeah.
Although I do wonder sometimes, like, reading his Twitter feed and stuff, it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, but the problem is, you give him, like the 4-minute interview, the length of this interview, and you give him 4 minutes to speak his mind, to say, actually, say things. But then when you have to, like, shorten it to tweets or 140 characters, to try and, like, whatever he's got on his mind, like, to squash that down into, like, a minute form of text, probably is weird for him. So then when it comes out in a tweet, it's probably just...
in block capitals.
Yeah, exactly,
with smoke coming out of his keyboard.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Alright, should we talk about Nicolas Cage?
Yeah, from one really out of touch
Yep.
to another. Yeah, Nick Cage is fantastic.
And people think that because Nicolas Cage was in movies like Leaving Las Vegas and, say, the likes of even Con Air and stuff, like that, I mean, like, those are good movies in their respective genres and stuff like that. You might think that Nicolas Cage being insane is a new thing, but no. We watched this interview with Nicolas Cage before we came live on the air on the Midnight Hour.
Yeah.
With Terry Wogan. Do you want to describe what happens at the start?
He comes on. He runs on, doesn't he?
Onto the stage, yeah.
Onto the stage from the back. The widest grin on his face, because he's Nick Cage. Obviously, I don't think he has like a weird. He doesn't do normal faces. That's why there's so many memes.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't do normal. Like just.
He's wearing a leather jacket with no t-shirt on underneath it.
Yeah, and then he does he forward roll?
Yeah.
Does a forward roll, and then starts doing like karate kicks.
It was a somersault that was almost botched, wasn't it? It was it
was kind of a somersault that then it was botched and then turned into a forward roll.
Yep.
Yeah, and then karate kicks, maybe 3 or 4 karate kicks, and then he just started throwing money
into the crowd. This is in 1992. Nicolas Cage on the Terry Wogan show. This is a chat show. It's like him appearing on, like, Jonathan Ross.
Graham Norton or something.
Yeah, and he comes... oh my god. Like, this guy is just absolutely fucking mental. Like, some of the things that he does as well. Like, have you heard about that book that he's trying to write about his acting style, in which he mimics, like, the movements of a fucking octopus or something like that?
No.
Well, it's true. It's a true thing. He genuinely believes in this acting style. Like, it's a technique that he's developed himself, which nobody's gonna argue with.
Of course, yeah.
It's called.
Self-developed.
He has another technique called something like it's something like Novu Shamaniac or something. It's like an African sort of technique that he obviously, because he's a very like culturally profound man. But it was on the set of I want to say Daredevil. What's the one he was in with Eva Mendes and
Ghost Rider? Yeah,
Ghost Rider. Where he wore some like absolutely fucking mental ghost mask and just walked around on the set with that, behaving like Ghost Rider, like when Ghost Rider is Ghost Rider, if you know what I mean.
In his devil incarnation.
Yeah,
I know.
And he was going around like just acting like a fucking lunatic. And like when asked about it, he was like, "Yeah, like today you do something like that and people think you're crazy." It's like, that's because you're crazy.
Yeah, there's one thing I guess, like when like Daniel Day-Lewis becomes like Lincoln, and then off the set. like for the 10 minutes in between shots or an hour between shots, he's still Lincoln.
Yeah.
That's kind of fair enough. Like it's hard to get into the mindset of another human being.
Or how Tom Hanks got AIDS in real life to play the guy in Philadelphia.
No, he got lost on the island as well. In
Yeah,
Tom Hanks is really committed to his roles.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
he got lost on the island in Wilson. Is it more of like a documentary slash
Mockumentary?
Yeah, but like Daniel Day-Lewis would become Lincoln, and then Offset he would still be kind of Lincoln because it's hard to get back into like it's Lincoln is a real person, has people know how he speaks, know what he looks like, etc., etc. No one knows what the Ghost Rider. The Ghost Rider isn't a real thing. You don't have to become Ghost Rider. There is no like other version of Ghost Rider that you have to like adhere to.
Yeah.
You don't have to stay in character as Ghost Rider. He's just insane.
Did you know that to prepare for the role in Untouchables, this is gonna sound like one of your made up facts, right? But I swear to you, this is absolutely true.
Is it about Sean Connery?
No, it's Robert De Niro. He was playing Al Capone, and he wore in the 1920s in America. The upper echelons of society would wear silk underwear, and Robert De Niro wore silk underwear to prepare for the role of Al Capone.
Wow,
isn't that crazy?
That's mental.
But it's not Nicolas Cage ghost head. Like he stabbed like 3 interns on the set or something. Probably, I don't know. I made that up, but like,
yeah. No, he definitely didn't do that. He's immortal. That's the truth.
Yeah, that's true. Have you heard about the way Nicolas Cage is bankrupt?
Yeah.
And, like, there's a reason that Nicolas Cage is in every fucking awful movie. And
well, there's about the whole thing that he's obsessed with Elvis to the point where he like married Elvis's daughter.
Really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, and they were married for like not very long, and then she probably thought, really, I'm just married to Nicolas Cage because you're obsessed with with Elvis.
Can you imagine that? Like, what do you see in me? So tell me about your dad.
Yeah, exactly. It seems like a weird Family Guy like sketch. Or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
tell me more about your dad. What when I look at when you look into my eyes, what do you see?
So Nicolas Cage, why did your wife leave you? I don't know, but all I know is I just checked into the Heartbreak Hotel.
Yeah.
Ugh. Did you know, by the way?
He's also a really big... he's obviously did the botched Superman movie as well, but he's like a big Superman fan. I think it's Russell Crowe... Not Russell Crowe, shit. Nicolas Cage. I always think Russell Crowe. Like, Russell Crowe is always on my mind.
Yeah, that is the truest thing you've ever said.
But no, Nick Cage like named his son Kal-El or something. I think that's Nick Cage. I could be wrong.
Doesn't Nicolas Cage have like a famous... he's from an acting family or something, isn't he?
Yeah, he changed his name though. It's the Coppolas. I think he's like, Francis Ford Coppola.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he's like the nephew or something like that. Yeah, he's a Coppola, but he changed his name. Yeah,
that's really weird.
Yeah,
like he would have. I feel like his name is huge right now in a sort of a weird way, where like there's this weird division between people who talk about Nicolas Cage. Like there's people like you who you're quite clearly a fan. Like beyond all the irony and the jokes you can make about him, you quite clearly like him and his. Style.
I genuinely like the early '90s Nick Cage movies. Are genuinely good. Like I'm not watching them because they're ironically bad or because I think they're good in like a weird way. No, I just genuinely like them.
There's I really like '90s action movies. I really like Con Air. I really like Face Off. To a lesser degree, I even fucking love a movie like Broken Arrow or like those. I don't know. There's something about them, but yeah, and then there's the other half of Nicolas Cage fans who really just like the fact that he's a meme and makes funny faces and does obscene things. I'm both.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm definitely both. Yeah. But like it's strange. Like his name could be a much more respected one universally. I feel if it were Nicolas Coppola, because I just don't think that people would be comfortable casting a guy with Coppola in his name in a movie like Knowing. Which is just 90 minutes of fucking garbage. Like, it's one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life.
But do you think the recent Nick Cage is only doing the garbage movies because he doesn't have any money, or because yeah.
This is the out of touch with reality part of Nicolas Cage, believe it or not. It's none of the stuff we just said. He was declared bankrupt, or he declared bankruptcy, I should say. Which I would love to imagine was him walking into a room and shouting bankruptcy. But
no, doing it like on the Terry Rogan show.
Yeah, somersaulting.
Well, okay.
Throwing money away, then like asking for it back.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he declared bankruptcy and he was like, all right, look, I'm financially fucked. My accountant led me astray for many years. And as a result of that, I don't have the money that I should have. So he took his accountant to court, and Nicolas Cage got clotheslined by justice because his accountant was like, all right, here are the things he bought that I specifically ordered him to not buy. Are you ready for this list?
Yeah, I think I know some of them, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay, 2 albino king cobras.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's just a practical purchase. I mean,
a Gulfstream jet.
Yeah.
Pygmy shrunken heads.
Wow, you never know when you're going to need them.
The first Superman comic.
Well, that one's a good one. I told you he's a big Superman fan.
$1.6 million.
Yeah, that's pricey.
A pyramid tombstone. A 67 million year old Tarbosaurus skull.
Okay.
He outbid Leonardo DiCaprio for this, right? And he purchased it for $300,000. And then it turned out that it was an object that was stolen from I forget what country. It was stolen from like an Eastern European or a Middle Eastern country or something like that. And he had to like give it back. Like, it wasn't, he couldn't legally own it. It was an artifact. Like, it's not something that someone can buy.
Yeah.
Also an octopus, because how else are you going to learn how to act?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, no, we already discussed he need that. Yeah, for practical reasons.
He also bought a shark.
Acting as well, or just?
No, just
to ride on.
Why would he not have a shark?
Yeah.
A crocodile.
Well, you're gonna have an octopus and a shark. You may as well have a crocodile.
It's true. Also a private island. A haunted murder mansion for $3.45 million.
Does he live in it, or did he like renovate it for?
You know what? He probably doesn't even know that he bought it.
It's one of those Nick Cage past 3 a.m.
purchases
on eBay, wasn't it?
Have you heard of the Madame Lalaurie? Was like a serial killer. Like, she was like she had a really high place in society, and she'd invite people to her house or whatever, and then they'd end up murdered. It's one of those ones that's like one of the most famous sort of serial killer stories.
Yeah.
And he also bought the Shah of Iran's Lamborghini.
Oh, because an ordinary Lamborghini would be pricey enough.
Yeah.
You may as well just take it straight from like a sheikh,
So like, just those things, that's probably like 12.
But those, weirdly, are just the things that his accountant told him not to buy.
Yeah, how much does a Gulfstream jet cost?
Yeah.
It's gotta be a lot of money. Like, I don't know. Like, this is a guy who just has no fucking idea of what to do with his money, or anything. Like, he is an absolute lunatic, and it's amazing, and I'm glad that he exists.
Yeah.
But
it is a thing. Like, he probably just. But it's because he's not. That's not who he is anymore. I know he changed his name. He became Nicolas Cage, but like, it's almost like he is this character of Nicolas Cage. You know what I mean? He's living up to the character that he's almost created.
I wonder though if he's so far gone that he just doesn't even know that he is that character.
Right.
Like, I kind of think that he's that kind of guy where it's like he doesn't know that everyone's laughing at him. You
Yeah.
know, like I think there's probably a real awkward disconnect there between him and like his, if he even has a publicist, where like I'd imagine that people are trying to tell him how to behave, and he's like, nah, man, people want to see somersaults. Like I don't know. I think yeah, he's a real tough one to call. Which is why we're gonna move on to Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
So, what can
What,
we say about Tom Cruise?
where do we start though? I mean, do we even touch on the Scientologies thing? The Scientologist thing, because like that's a whole different.
Did you know that
Once you start getting into religion and stuff, that's just.
he used to be in another religion, and I'm pretty sure it was like, I'm pretty sure that
Evangelical or something.
he used to be Protestant or Mormon or one of the main American religions. He used to be like fairly high up in his like school group, like Cub Scout, like one of those things.
Mm.
He had like a, I don't know.
He sold enough cookies or something.
Yeah, whatever. But he was
Yeah.
like, he was religious before Scientology too, which sort of hints to like some people. Don't they say that there's just a gene in your brain that makes you believe in God and stuff? Like maybe Tom Cruise has that on a higher level or whatever. But it makes sense that as he got more famous, he became a Scientologist, because Scientology is a religion of exclusivity, and it's sort of a society. Like it's literally a cult. That's why it's a cult, is that it drags you in with stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess like it's hard to talk about Scientology because we mentioned this on the cults episode, but what do you actually know about Scientology?
Me personally.
Yeah.
I know, like it's about like the aliens, and they like came down with a book, like 100 years ago or some bullshit, and then he just started sprouting off ideas. And it's Elron or
Yeah, L. Ron Hubbard, yeah.
yeah. No, not a great deal. Just sort of like in passing, you pick up different things, you read different things. It's not something I've ever really sort of gone into and thought, you know what, I'm gonna take my time and learn about Scientology today. Just because, I mean, it's interesting in a way that like, you know, just some days, I just want pancakes, but that's because, that's just.
What are you talking about?
I don't know. I think I'm having a Nicolas Cage meltdown. I think what I'm saying is that, like it's I know it's always going to be in the back of my mind, like, there's this thing out there called Scientology that I can fall back on one day when I'm bored. I think that's where I'm going with it. Like,
Yeah.
I know pancakes is always there. I don't have pancakes all the time, but I know I can have pancakes as a last resort. I think is what I'm trying to say. I know Scientologist is out there. I know it exists, and one day I'll Google it.
Yeah.
At the moment, I've got other things to do. Do you know what I mean?
I really want to watch. Louis Theroux has made a documentary about it, but like it hasn't been published yet. It's only been screened at like festivals and stuff. So only like, I don't know, a few hundred people have ever seen it.
Yeah.
But like I know that it's gonna be fucking amazing. Like I really, really need to see it, and I don't feel like I can trust anything else to tell me about Scientology, because even though I'm fairly convinced, based on the media perception of it, that it is an inherently bad thing, I still don't know enough about it to call it myself. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I can't just outright say it's bad because I don't know enough about it, and I find it to be a ridiculously tedious thing to try and research, because it's full of shit. Like, if you like, go onto the Wikipedia page for Scientology and just start anywhere. Like, pick a sentence on it and start reading it, and you will just lose interest straight away. It's the most boring shit. Like, I don't know. It's like. No, I won't say that because a lot of people probably like Lord of the Rings, but it's just so fucking hard to read, I feel. I don't know.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Well, there's the movie The Master, which is, I think that was based on Scientology, wasn't it? Or it was based on L. Ron Hubbard or something. The movie with Joaquin Phoenix and somebody else. I can't remember who else was in that movie. But yeah, I didn't even watch that movie because I'm just sort of like it's I'm sure it's fascinating. but like,
What would it teach you?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Sometimes you can just watch a movie to watch it, but I feel like with movies that have an agenda, you have to be in on the agenda, or else you're just not going to enjoy it.
No.
There's an allegation made against Tom Cruise that, like, supposedly, he said to one of the leaders of Scientology, who was saying that, like, the kids are just not interested enough, and Tom Cruise offered to beat the living shit out of them, apparently.
All of the kids.
Like, the ones that were just not acting interested in
Right.
Scientology.
But that doesn't scream of the Tom Cruise I know, you know?
I really like Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
I just think that he is very, very far removed from reality, as we're going to see in this clip.
Oh.
This is Tom Cruise on David Letterman, and he's talking about how he climbs mountains, and he's talking about specifically an incident where he's on an airplane, and we'll take it from there.
Anything like that ever happened to you? Have you ever had been woozy at altitude?
No, but I fly. I'm a pilot, and I was one time we were flying to Colorado, and I was flying this airplane that we had to go on oxygen, and the winds were better at a higher altitude, so we climbed up, and I realized that we couldn't stay at that altitude if on oxygen. I had to descend because I didn't have enough oxygen. So I had a passenger in the back, so we figured out, you know, me and the co-pilot, that if we turned the oxygen off in the back guy, that we could make it at this altitude. So we, you know, it wasn't dangerous or anything, you know.
So, no, what happened when you turned his oxygen off?
He was very quiet. He felt. He fell asleep. He fell asleep. He slept the whole way.
Well, but
you know, he's the kind of guy you wanted to have him sleep the whole way. You know, it's like just.
but honestly, looking at it from another direction, isn't that attempted manslaughter? You just turn a guy's oxygen off? You're lucky you're not doing time, for the love of God.
He woke up.
He did wake up, yeah.
You know, when we were landing on descent, he. My hands are. He said, my hands are. My hands are your all's hands. He said, my hands are tingling. I slept the whole way. I said, must have been the way I was laying. I said, yeah, must have been the way.
Oh, my God. Wasn't getting enough oxygen to his brains. Oh, my God.
I know.
Well, it's
Oh, God.
funny now.
All right. There is no story, I think, I could tell that would make me laugh that hard, especially when it's a thing that's already happened to me.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, when you start laughing at things like that, that already happened from the past, there's never a sense of that you laugh again that hard. Like,
Yeah.
I always think I laugh more in the moment at scenarios like that than I just think he's. Do you think that was an act?
No.
He's just genuinely laughing like a crazy person
Yep.
at a story that happened ages ago.
He is like there are things in the world that I've experienced that have made me laugh that hard. Like the way he can't control what he's saying and stuff. Like you can tell his stomach was obviously, like his rib cage and stuff was obviously really sore after it and stuff.
Yeah.
And, like I know that exact feeling.
I've experienced, but I've experienced it in the moment or
and like
shortly after. Yeah,
it's not even that funny.
no,
It's just like a story where it's like, yeah, so like I nearly killed a guy one
Yeah,
time.
we turned the guy's oxygen off. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he cannot handle it, and it's the most bizarre thing. Like, I could watch interviews with Tom Cruise on a loop forever. Like, there was that other one where, I don't know, this fucking some comedy production for the UK were doing this thing where they would interview people with joke interviews or whatever. And they were interviewing Tom Cruise. I think, was it around the time War of the Worlds came out, or maybe Mission Impossible 2 or something like that.
Right.
And they had like a microphone that was a water gun. And they asked him a question and held the microphone up to him, and he was like, yeah. And like he was into it, and then they squirted him in the face, and the smile just dropped from his face, and he was like, why would you do that? You're a jerk. You're an inconsiderate jerk, and stuff like that. And he was visibly like really, really upset and stuff. And there's just something strange about his demeanor. I feel like I feel like he is not on the same plane as everyone
Yeah, but
else.
the thing is, he's insanely watchable. Like,
oh, he's great.
that's why he's so good in movies. Is because he's just so watchable.
I actually think that he is not really in a whole lot of movies that I don't like. Like, you know the movie Oblivion, right? It's standard sci-fi, but
Yeah.
because he's in it, I just, like, it goes from like a 6 to an 8 immediately. Like, to me, Oblivion is an 8 out of 10 movie, and it shouldn't be. It's not that good. There's nothing really in it that's spectacularly done or anything like that. But the way that I can't really say without spoiling it, but he just does some stuff in it that's really, really cool. He does all his own stunts as well, like at his own.
It's like the Mission Impossible movies, like the last couple. I just standard fare sort of action movies, kind of.
Yeah.
But like they're insanely watchable and fun because Tom Cruise is in them.
And then he does, like, I think War of the Worlds is a great movie too. Like,
yeah.
To be honest, I don't get why people don't like it. I don't know what it is about it that makes people think it's not a good movie, but the scene where his daughter's Dakota Fanning, isn't she, in that movie?
Yeah, that was like one of her first things, wasn't it? Like, was that like launched her maybe or something?
I think so. I think it was her. But like,
I think get that confused with Signs.
Signs
was
is
Signs with Dakota Fanning, or was that another movie? I don't know.
Hold on, there's only one way to find this out, and that's Googling War of the Worlds. War of the Worlds 2005. I'm sure it was Dakota Fanning.
It might have been, yeah.
Worlds. It was, thankfully. But the scene where she's singing Lullaby Bay, and that crazy guy has seen the tripod spit the blood out of the humans that they've, like, eaten and dissected, and he goes fucking ballistic. They're in some basement somewhere.
Yeah.
And he goes ballistic, and he starts digging. He's trying to dig his way into the city, and he's drawing so much attention. And Tom Cruise is in full dad mode, like protective dad mode. And he does something that you see The Walking Dead try to do all the time, where he makes a choice to go beyond his normal humanity, and he has to protect his family. That's the number one thing. The world has changed. Killing people is not as big a deal as it was before, and he picks up the shovel and he tells her to sing Lullaby Bay, sing that song, and like, that's a fucking great scene. It's really, really great, because it starts out as the most tense scene in the movie as well, because that eye thing follows them into the basement. Yeah, oh, it's so good. Like, it's so well done, and that's because he's a fucking great actor, and all the movies that he's in are great. Like Minority Report, that's a class movie. I don't get any of the hate for that either. It's great. And also Edge of Tomorrow, that's a great action movie. But I was thinking of Collateral, which we were talking about method acting earlier, but to prepare for the role in Collateral, he legit delivered FedEx stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah. To like crowded parties in LA and stuff.
I kind of disappointed that like Tom Cruise doesn't do more intense. Like, I know he does a lot of action movies now, but like his early on years, he did a lot of like, not comedies, but a lot of like weirder movies.
He's in Magnolia.
Yeah, exactly. And then now he kind of just sticks to those sci-fi sort of action-y things. But maybe because he makes the movies himself, kind of. I think Edge of Tomorrow, he kind of like pushed for that himself, and then he's involved obviously with the Mission Impossible movies. So maybe he's just doing the movies he wants to do. But
yeah, I wish he wasn't in The Last Samurai. I don't really like that movie.
See, I think that's still watchable because it has Tom Cruise in it.
I don't. Like, the fucking sword is bigger than he is, and like, I hate the way they're like, oh, yeah, this is a movie about Japanese culture and Japanese history and heritage and stuff, and we're getting an American guy to be the best one out of all the ones. Like,
Yeah.
fuck off with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was never a fan. I think Top Gun is just the lamest thing in the world. Top Gun is just that little bit too 80s, like where Die Hard completely moved away from the 80s despite being an 80s action movie. Top Gun just embraced it and is all like,
Yeah.
just all out fucking garbage, to be honest.
If it was a colour, Top Gun would be neon fucking pink.
Yeah, definitely. And that's not us saying that Top Gun is just gay Die Hard.
No, it's not. It's you know, Top Gun is an enjoyable enough movie, but yeah, it's very, very 80s.
Yeah.
Like it will. That's why essentially they'll make a new one soon because it will just be so dated.
Yeah,
You know?
I know. They are actually making a sequel to it, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Do you have any celebrity that you want to talk about?
Well, we can talk. We can touch on Russell Crowe, obviously.
I thought that was.
I mean, the guy. This is one of the best people ever, isn't he? Really. I mean.
Yeah. Well, he did go a little crazy and move out to like rural Australia and start his own farm for some kind of beets, I think it was.
Yeah, beet farm. Yeah, his beet farm. It's still going strong. There was obviously rumours that he sold it and moved on, but
someone hacked his Twitter and tweeted
that's
that.
true.
Did they?
It's still going. He's still the third biggest beet farm. The world. Well, I suppose the universe as well.
Yep, the universe as well. That's like, I would love to hear like Hulk Hogan like, oh yeah, like, I'm the best WWF champion in the history of the world, and well, I guess the universe too.
That's the whole like Mr. Universe thing is so stupid to me. The whole concept of Mr. Universe.
Apart from the Mr. Universe that's in the newest Fast and Furious movie. Well, I think his name is Mr. Nobody, so disregard that comment.
Yeah. The fact that like bodybuilders compete for Mr. Universe is hilarious.
I know. That's also the lamest fucking thing. Like, nothing says femininity to me like more than a man that like has to show how fucking strong he is and all this shit. I don't know.
Yeah. But to be honest, like I'm like obviously not the most masculine of people, but like just bravado and all of that stuff just really grinds my gears.
Yeah,
like,
I can't stand it.
I can't stand it either. No, it just really annoys me.
Yeah.
Like honestly, if you have to like yell from the rooftops how like manly you are, just sit down, sir.
Or how you want to make America great again.
Yeah, just sit down, sir. Just
Sit down, sir. You're embarrassing us.
Yeah, take a minute out. Like you're breathing heavy. Calm down. Yeah.
It's like if you have to throw a phone at someone or whatever Russell Crowe did.
Yeah. Well, there's the he apparently phoned his producer on the set of Gladiator. And opened the conversation with "You motherfucker, I'll kill you with my bare hands." But he did it. I guess he did it as Maximus. So that would be awesome if he did it in character as Maximus.
I'm sure he did.
You motherfucker, I'll kill you with my bare hands.
Yeah, he's definitely got that in him. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was Russell Crowe that was the subject of the Fighting Around the World South Park song, wasn't it?
More than likely, yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was. Like, he had just this weird phase where I get him confused with Mel Gibson from time to time, but he obviously hasn't gone that far beyond the normal realm of celebrity or like mentally insane person or whatever. Do you have any more Russell Crowe facts?
Well, it's just off the top of my head. Oh, I can't remember the name of the band he was in.
Russell Crowe and the Colossal Twats?
Was it? No, I think it was Big Russ.
Oh, maybe it was, yeah.
It was Big Russ. I think it was Big Russ and the Colossal Twats. Yeah, I mean, that's I mean, with celebrities from now and then, you know, that they branch off into different areas.
For anyone that hasn't heard episode 20 of the Midnight Hour, go and check it out.
I can't remember actually whether I did any true facts in that episode. Did I?
Yeah, you did a few. Yeah.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
I think most of them. No, that's not saying that these are obviously real true Russell Crowe facts.
Yeah, from his IMDb page.
Yeah, everything about Russell Crowe is true. Everything you read about Russell Crowe ever and hear about Russell Crowe is true.
Apparently, he's like a really, really nice guy in real life.
Yeah, no, I've seen him in interviews like on the Graham Norton show and stuff, and he's funny.
Yeah,
like, he's like down to earth and stuff.
he's that's like the thing about celebrity and the lifestyles of the rich and the famous, and like the whole fucking cult of personality that surrounds celebrities and stuff like that is you really have no idea what they are in real life. And I've been lucky enough to sort of have a little bit of a little bit of a peek behind the curtain, if you like. Like I've met some famous people, and like obviously I am famous, but that's why like there's a reason.
This is your podcast.
Yeah, like there's a reason I go by the name El De Niro and not my real name, because like.
Well, you've become the character, haven't you?
Yeah, well that's it. Like when I'm out in public, like one time I was on a bus and like there was no seats on it, and someone was like, "Are you El De Niro?" And then like word had traveled, and then everyone was offering me their seat, and it was just embarrassing, really.
Yeah.
But
you took one from the old woman, though, didn't you?
That's right. Yeah. Well, she had it coming. But yeah, like you don't know what celebrities are like, and it's really crazy to think that like there's a real like way that they can harness that power to like get whatever they want, you know, like drugs and like R. Kelly was married to a 14-year-old at one point. Like,
no, let's not delve into the R. Kelly. Like,
yeah, I was gonna open the show with we will not be discussing R. Kelly, but yeah, it's just the way that you don't really know what someone is beyond the image that they project outwards, and that's so true with celebrities because they have the finances to back that whole thing up. And I think that's why I'm so interested in people that sort of go to the brink of sanity. Like they do things that are like Kanye and like Conor McGregor. Like those are people that are just so fucking straight up. Like, and they definitely belong where they are, and that's why they're so interesting to me. I feel. Like
yeah, I think Leonardo DiCaprio is someone else that everyone kind of finds fascinating, don't they?
Yeah,
I do anyway. Like one minute he's like the guy who's like saving the polar bears in the ice caps, and then like, well, he's not doing that when he's doing that for 6 months of the year. For the other 6 months, he's just on a yacht, enjoying the fact that the polar ice caps are melting, with like the whole Russian female gymnast team or whatever he's doing.
That's so weird that you say that, right? Because there's a shareholder that has been calling me like all week in work, and I'm just like. No, I say all week, it's Tuesday. All of last week as well. And I am continuing to duck their calls because I don't have good news for them. But today I said, if this person calls for me, tell them I've absconded with the Russian ballet team because of that scene from The Dark Knight. Yeah, and that was like the only thing that is so weird that you say exactly that today. Like that's fucking weird because I said that like 6 hours ago in work. But yeah, like and DiCaprio was like, oh, no woman under the age of 20 or over the age of 25 is ever going to be seen with me, lol.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird too. But like, yeah, I'm totally fascinated by everything about him. Like, how could you not be?
Yeah.
But I find like the total, like, you know, Ric Flair.
Yeah. Almost. Yeah. I mean, personally.
Like, did you know that he was an orphan? But like, not just an orphan, like he was like fucking an illegal like black market baby that was bought by some weird like wrestling adoption ring thing. Like he's had like the weirdest life ever.
He was like grown specifically to be a wrestler.
Yeah, that's right.
He's grown in a weird lab.
He just has like the strangest life. Like, I don't know, like, you know, when you see him in the ring and stuff, and like he's elbow dropping his jacket and things like that. Like, there's a lot I don't really know, but there's some stuff that reckon like his parents apparently just straight up abandoned him, and like he was forced into some weird. Like,
I was gonna do a really weird, inappropriate woo after he said abandoned him.
Yeah, I really am interested in people like Ric Flair, but then I'm also just super fascinated by the fucking totally like upper, like Leonardo DiCaprio types. And I guess a perfect place to end the episode would be to talk about Frank Sinatra, because
He's the ultimate.
he's the fucking greatest guy in the world. I think when you think about Hollywood and lifestyles of the rich and famous, and like what encapsulates fame and sort of exclusivity and class and things like that, you think of Frank Sinatra. Even though he wasn't a particularly classy guy, he was very, very working class. But he sort of did everything, and he could have been anything. And he's one of the greatest people. Like I absolutely love Frank Sinatra. His son, Frank Sinatra Jr., got kidnapped when he was 19, and the guys asked for 240 grand, and Frank was like, "I'll give you $1 million." And they were like, "No, we just want 240K," and he was like, "All right." And because they had to do all of this business by payphone, Frank Sinatra got like really paranoid that he would run out of money and stuff like that, so he would carry a bag of dimes with him everywhere he went. And like he was buried with dimes in his pocket and stuff. Like I just love that story. Like he, like supposedly he, even though he cheated on his wives a lot, like he was very much a ladies' man. Apparently he was a really, really, really good dad, and like he really loved his kids and stuff. And like it's no surprise to me that a man in his position would offer stuff like that. But I just find it very touching that he wasn't like, "I'll give you 200." So like he was just
Batter with them.
Yeah, he was just straight up
Start
like,
low.
"Yeah, my son's life is on the line here. Like whatever you want, it's yours." You know, like it's the fact that he carried dimes around with him forever is just so endearing to me. Like I really, really think he was just a great guy. But he was like a great actor by all accounts. Well, for the time anyway. Like I know he had issues with like method acting, and he hated Marlon Brando and stuff. Did you know that he was arrested in 1938?
No.
He was arrested for seduction and adultery.
He was arrested for seduction?
Yeah.
How do you get arrested for seduction?
Because in the 1930s, I think womanizing was a crime or something.
And he was so good at it that he broke the law?
Yeah, apparently so. Apparently he like messed with a single woman. I don't know. I guess she must have been somebody to somebody important.
Right.
But that's like it's really cool with Sinatra too. Like he had all these ties to the mafia because he was a man of like Italian American heritage, and at the time, I guess in the 30s and stuff like that, you obviously had major gangster players in like politics and stuff. But he was like really close friends with I don't know if he was really close friends with Bugsy Siegel, but I think he hung around with those types of guys. And Carlos Gambino from the Gambino family, who recently had a kid called Childish Gambino, who's
yeah.
But
I think the thing is, like, it's not strange to think about that though, that they would be in the same circles, just because, you know, at the height of New York or the height of wherever they were, Chicago, LA, or wherever, those guys had money, so you know it's not weird to think that they would hang out in the same clubs or they hang out in the same places.
So
you know?
but then like there's in The Godfather, is Johnny Fontaine the name of the crooner in that?
Possibly. I think it's something like that, isn't it?
I'm sure it's Fontaine. I'm pretty sure it's Fontaine. He's allegedly based on Sinatra. A lot of the stuff in The Godfather is pulled from real life gangster stuff. But there's the horse's head in the bed scene in The Godfather the horse's head was put in the bed of a movie producer so that he would cast Fontaine in the movie. Isn't that how the story went?
Something like that, yeah.
So, like, apparently that's a metaphor for how Sinatra got his role in Gone with the Wind. It's not no one put a horse's head in someone's bed, but like that. Apparently, it's something like that. Because of his ties with the mob, and that's how he got that role. But then in the 60s, when JFK was going for the Democrat seat, Sinatra became friends with him, and JFK had a huge anti-mafia movement, and Sinatra sort of helped out, apparently. So the mafia ended up hating Sinatra, and the FBI had like a fucking 4-decade-long surveillance thing on Sinatra. But it's just the way he did fucking everything, like from the mafia to like dating Marilyn Monroe, and like hanging out with the president and helping the president take down the mob, like being in movies like Gone with the Wind and stuff like that. Like he is the fucking just.
I have a similar thing with like Elvis as well. Like anything you read about Elvis in like the late '60s, early '70s is just fascinating. Like the president, I think the president. One of the stories about Elvis, the president gave him a medal and like made him a sheriff or so, like a weird, just like because he was so big, and Elvis, like the president was such a fan. The president of the United States of America gave Elvis like a sheriff's badge.
Yeah.
Or just like it was obviously not real sheriff's badge, but you've got to be so out of touch with reality to know that like when the president that gives him a sheriff's badge, he's going to take it and be like, man, I'm real proud of this.
he was Elvis hated drugs. That's what it was. And he was given some honorary position to help the government win the war on drugs or something like that. But the thing about Elvis was that he hated drugs, but he fucking loved prescription drugs.
Oh yeah, he was addicted to them.
Yeah. Also, Elvis was also involved with lots of 14-year-old girls, so sort of loses a lot of cool points for that, in my opinion.
Well, he met his wife when she was like, however old she was.
Yeah.
Then apparently waited.
Yeah, it's grim.
Yeah.
That's why Sinatra is so much cooler than Elvis. Like
That's
Sinatra...
why they call Elvis the R. Kelly of the '60s.
Frank used to hang around with... I'm on first name basis with Sinatra.
Oh, yeah, Frank.
I call it, Frank. All Blue Eyes, as I affectionately know him as. I think people have also started using that to describe him, which... whatever.
Disrespectful, to be honest.
Yeah, in fairness. I started that whole thing. But he used to hang around, obviously, with Sammy Davis Jr. and the Rat Pack and stuff. And during the 60s, Sinatra gave lots of talks about equality and how racism is fucking stupid and stuff like that. He would constantly do have little lyrics in songs. Like, not a lot of Sinatra written songs made it to Sinatra's singles. A lot of the songs he sang were actually written by other people. But there's one of his songs, he says something like, the children in the playground, the faces that I see, all races and religions, that's America to me. Which, I think at that time, that would have been really difficult as one of the most famous people in the world to do. But he just straight up was like, yeah, obviously, like, people can be black, that's fine. Like, he would always sing with, like, Billie Holiday and Nat King Cole and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he would never, ever, ever play at venues where they had, like, an anti-black thing. Like, you know, the way in the 60s it was fine for places to be like, no blacks, no Irish, no dogs. With Sinatra, it was like, yeah, fuck, I'm not playing your place. Fuck that.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, there's something just incredible about him. I'm sure people will flood the comment section with bad things he's done, but don't ruin the illusion for me. He's one of the greats.
Yeah. Apparently my grandma saw Frank Sinatra in London in the 1950s. She went to see a concert in the 1950s. Frank, like, in like a bar, not a bar, like a club or something, in the 1950s in London. And like, she told me that a few years ago, and I was like, you what? I was like, you went to see Frank Sinatra? She's like, yeah, I was in London at the time, and he was there. And I was like, how far away from him were you? And she was like, oh, not very far. And you're just like, oh, okay. Just a weird sort of like, just offhanded sort of like, yeah, I was a few feet away from Frank Sinatra. Saw him at club. He was singing. Oh, that's like a weird, like you would say, why haven't you brought that up before? But I guess it's one of those things where, if I don't ask, I guess, have you ever met Frank Sinatra? I guess she's never going to say anything. But it's just a weird, yeah, like, that blew my mind. Like, you know, that where we live, like, that could ever happen, you know. But yeah, it was very strange.
I don't, I think there's something about, I've just come up with this theory, so I may be wrong.
Right. So you've not quite thought it through, but you're going to say it anyway.
Yeah, like most things I say on this fucking podcast. Sinatra retired in '69 and left with the song "My Way," and that was his like goodbye. And then he came back to music for another 25 years, and I think there's something about people who retire early and then come back, and like Jay-Z is one of the best rappers. Well, like he'll go down as one of the not one of the best rappers in terms of his technique, but just in terms of his fucking superstardom, like Jay-Z is up there. Like he's one of the wealthiest like self-made millionaires in rap.
Yeah.
And then there's like Michael Jordan and stuff like that. I just feel like there's kind of a trend there with people who retire early and then come back and are like, wait a minute, I actually really liked what I was doing, and then they get better at it or whatever.
Yeah, Paul Scholes.
Yeah.
It's the only one I can think of. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, the whole fascination with Michael Jordan, like, you know, retiring at the very, very top and then coming out of retirement and being kind of just as good.
Brock Lesnar going back to the WWE.
Yeah, Brock Lesnar coming back to WWE, if being better, you know.
Goldust, guys like that.
God.
Goldust was fucking better than ever when he came back.
Oh yeah.
But,
well, he's one of the greatest, isn't he?
I don't know any others, but
Nah, I'm sure there are others.
there must be something in that.
Yeah. There's definitely something. The fact that we haven't done any research to like back up the claim is letting us down. But I'm sure between now and when you release this to air on Friday, you can like put in like in the caption bit. You can be like, and here are some other examples.
Yeah.
Hotter than the 6 in the summer, dead ass girl, I want. Girl, I know you wanna. You know I wanna. Yeah. Yeah, she keep giving me looks. Yeah. Girl, I know you wanna. She's a spice, ride pipe like bike, like Yokohama. She heard the thing bend like banana, so she wanna give me the adunanani. Oh, yeah. She say I'm a sweeter man, but she say that she don't need a man. I say why don't we make an agreement, then we can just while we're being friends. Girl, I know you wanna. You know I wanna. Girl, I know you wanna. You know I wanna. Shorty too fly though. That's all I know. She don't sing songs, but if I go strong, she gon' hit this high note. She knows she working with the nana, and she wanna give me the adunanani. Oh, yeah. She say I'm a sweeter man, but she say that she don't need a man. What if we make an agreement, then we can just while we're being friends. Girl, I know you wanna. I know you wanna. Girl, I know you wanna. I know you want to, girl. Ride the pipe like a bike, oh. Do the things you know I like, oh. I'm the man in my ends, oh. You're the one that's not pretend, cause the pussy too good, drink too strong. Yeah, I too change, I'm too sprung. Yeah. I, pussy too good, drink too strong. Yeah, I too change, I'm too gone. Girl, I know you wanna. I know you wanna. Girl, I know you wanna. I know you want to, girl. Girl, I know you wanna. I know you want to, girl. Girl, I know you wanna. Yeah. She keep giving me look. Oh, she keep giving me look. Oh, she keep giving me look. Yeah. I need you right here beside me. If you oblige me, I hang it up and I'll never come out of retirement. You should just sleep on it, you shouldn't doubt me. It would be different without me. What is it without me? Don't go do nothing without me. This is a blessing, mashallah, wallahi. I swear my life story's better than stories they telling about me. They got it twisted. Ride the pipe like a bike, make sure you're going the distance. And if he wasn't with it, then why were you with him? Maybe you just had to realize that knowing the difference can make all the difference.